up on the 4 keys to success. You sound like Norm Van Leer, the keys to the game. we won't go there. We hope that the NBA will start. But keys is no question success. It's definitely a great word that we use a lot.
Well, you know, I think that it's extremely important, and I think Norm does it so well when he pulls together the keys to success when he talks about the Bulls and getting ready for their games. But I think my first key to success is the next slide, where I simply say, what is your most important bill? Or what's your most important bill?
I know it, especially when you said pay yourself first, boy. And we used to pay ourselves last, okay?
That's right.
Pay yourself first. Plus, you're happy and you're going to be motivated.
Well, you know, it seems to me, when I ask that question of most people, you know what they tell me? They say, well, it's my car note, or it's the mortgage, or it's my kid's education. But, you know, to me, it's yourself, because it's nothing like having that peace of mind knowing that you've put away something for yourself. Now, the way you do that is you take money off your gross. Whatever it is that you make, whether it's $20,000 a year or $30,000 a year, or in the case of Piazza, $91 million. 91 million, oh, excuse me, that's right, 91 million. You have to put away some portion of that money for yourself first. And by doing that, you know, things seem to work. You know, people have a habit of living off their net. Whatever's in your pocket, you'll find some way to spend it. So what you need to do is take that away and save it. So saving and investing has got to be key on your mind. Pay yourself first.
Well, is there a certain percentage? Because I know one thing that we tried to teach our young people when we were growing up is to take 10% out for charity too. I mean, because you have to get used to giving too, you know, and a lot of times people don't, to teach them at a young age how to save, because it's good to start them at a young age, am I correct?
Absolutely. The younger, the better. And matter of fact, you're absolutely right about that first 10%. Giving back to your church or your charity, the motivating force within you is key, because once you learn that art of giving, you'd be absolutely amazed of what comes to you. The more you give, the more you get. And Earl, you've given a lot to this community, and look how blessed you've become.
Well, I'm truly blessed, and no question about it. And
it's
being
because
blessed.
You give. It's because you give. Now, the second 10%, I think you need to give to yourself. As I said, bad things happen to good people. So my recommendation is to try to live off of 80% of your income. Now, a lot of people who have not done that from an early age try to figure out, how am I going to do it? Well, here, let me give you a couple of examples.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to get a salary increase. You're going to get a raise. Even if you're on Social Security, you're going to get a cost of living increase. Now, what happens from...
Go back to that again.
I said, really, even if you're on welfare, you're going to get a cost of living increase.
That's amazing.
Now, here's the thing. On June 30th, at the end of the quarter, you're making so much.
Okay.
On July 1st, the beginning of the second quarter, you get your increase. What's happened between one day and the next? Nothing. Why don't you take that increase and bank it? And then live off of that, what you were living on last week. It works, and you do that over a period of time, and you'll find that you have much more money to save and invest than you ever realize. With 83 cents a day, most people have at least 83 cents a day extra change in their pocket. You can have as much as $25 to $50 a month ready for saving. With $50 a month, at age 25 to age 65, you would have put away $24,000 just in savings. That's not bad. But guess what? If you put that same amount of money into a mutual fund, it would be worth over $500,000. In other words, it's extremely important to take as little as $50 a month and save and invest.
Do you think this helps people when money's taken out of the check, instead of saying, well, if I don't see it, I hear people saying it's so easy to take a certain percentage out, then I can save it. But if I get it in my hands, like you said, you're going to spend it.
Well, you know, that's a tremendous point that you made, because back in 1976, payroll deposit, direct deposit was invented. And now if any of your listeners work for a company that has a 401k or a savings or investment plan within their company, they should join that plan immediately. You know why? Because it's tax deferred. That money comes off the gross of their salary, and they don't have to pay any taxes on that money until they take the money out. So 401k plan, if you work for a company that has one, if you don't have that at your employer, then you can start something called an individual retirement account, an IRA. Now there are two IRAs. There's one called a traditional IRA, then there's a Roth IRA. The Roth IRA has become extremely popular because that money you put in with after-tax dollars, and when you take the money out, you don't pay taxes on it at all. Now, that Roth IRA is not for everybody. It's usually for a younger person. Now, someone, in our age category, Earl.
I'm getting ready to ask you, where were you 30 years ago giving me all this great information?
But people who are, say, in 50 or 55 years old or something like that, they may be more interested in a traditional IRA because in either case, if you take the money out before you're 59 and a half, you have to pay a 10% IRS penalty and the ordinary income tax. So if you're over 50 and you're going to invest for more than 10 years, you don't have to worry about that. Now, the only exception to that is with the Roth IRA, you can't take the money out in certain cases and use it for a down payment on a house or use it for educational expenses. But, that brings me up to my second point in terms of the second key to success. It's time, not timing. Too many people think that there's a lotto in life, that somehow if they just wait, that next year they can start investing. Well, let me tell you, that is absolutely not true.
Procrastinating, huh?
Procrastination is the very worst thing that you can do when it comes to saving and investing. The earlier you do it, the better it is, because things compound. Compounding is so very important when it comes to saving and investing. Now, that's why on my third key here, which I think is very important, let me just make sure that everybody can see that, the power of compounding. So here's what the chart says. Suppose the day you were born, Earl, this goes for you.
Okay.
Your parents deposited just $1,000 in an account. And let's further assume that it was invested for just a modest 6% rate of return. If that investment was untouched until you turn age 65, that initial $1,000 would become $44,000 without ever adding another penny.
And now, is that at a certain percentage?
6%. That's pretty low.
That's right.
Let me tell you something. The stock market over the last 3 years have averaged 20%. So golly, how much money would that be? Now, if you show the next chart, Earl,
before we show the next chart, if I took a penny a day and I doubled it for 30 days during the month, and if I offered you $20,000, what would you take? The $20,000 or the doubling the penny for a day for 30 days?
That was a question asked of me in my graduate school at Northwestern University, and I gave the wrong answer. I said the $20,000. But I've learned since then that compounding will give you more money.
And it's just an astronomical figure, wouldn't it be?
Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you, people have got to realize that they must save and invest. And that's what this chart shows. You can see right here.
But this is amazing.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we really need to take some time with this one because, you see, if you invest for 5 years $50 at 8%, at the end of that time period, you'll have $3,671. But if you take $200, it's $14,683. But if you have your time frame out 10 years, it doesn't double, it triples. You see that? It goes from $3,000 to $9,000. If your time frame is out 15 years, it's $16,000. And Earl, you asked me, where was I 25 years ago?
Yeah.
If you had given me $50 a month,
good night.
You had to put it down, didn't you? You couldn't take it, could
I
you?
can't take it. I'm telling
That's why that's why your program is so important. The information you give to young people about saving and investing, preparing in high school and college, getting a good education,
Yes.
not depending upon sports for their livelihood is so key to their success. Earl, you're to be congratulated for the good works that you're doing.
But I appreciate you saying that. I was going to crack a joke. I said I didn't pay you for that. But truly, it's amazing how you give that information to people, and it's really simple. When you look about how we throw away money, I mean, you may go out a lot of times, and don't get me wrong, pay yourself first, like you said. But we spend a lot of money that we normally could use in savings, and maybe pay now and be happy later. And a lot of times we just don't want to have that sacrifice, that discipline, as we talked about in sports. It's a carryover. It's no different.
Well, discipline is extremely important because, you know, if you don't take time out for yourself now, you know, the worst thing that could possibly happen to you is to be old, sick, and broke. Too many of our senior citizens today are living on fixed income. Too many people, when they retire from one job, guess what? They have to take another job just to make ends meet. That is not a good thing. The American dream is pure and simple. Get a good education, work hard, and then be able to retire. Unfortunately, this is a fleeting dream because too many people today are just not preparing for retirement. Let me give you an example of a friend of mine. I don't know how much more time we have.
But you know, it's always running out of time when we have something great like this. Definitely have to invite you back.
Well, you know, I'm kind of reminded of my very good friend Bill Thompson over at the post office. You know, Bill retired back in 1976. As a postal worker. He had been he became a postal worker when he was 19 years old, pretty much like an athlete. He had a short career, worked for 20 years, so at 49 he was going to retire. He told everybody, he said at his retirement party, there was 100 people there, he was a very popular guy, he told everybody at his retirement party, all 100 of them, folks, I'm going to do the postal thing. No, he wasn't going to kill anybody.
Oh, okay.
Got a little nervous there.
Yeah, we got a little nervous.
No, what he said he was going to do, he was going to send each one of them a Christmas card every Christmas. Well, back in 1976, the postage stamp was 13 cents. So that was a $13 commitment on his $790 a month postal retirement. So that's not too bad. I saw him just about 3 or 4 months ago.
Yeah.
Telling him I appreciated his Christmas card, see how he was doing. By the way, he has a $32 commitment now, right?
Right.
Postage stamps have gone up.
Right.
Inflation. His postal retirement check didn't move.
That's right.
So there you go. And by the way, let your listeners know that the postage stamp is going to 33 cents real soon.
Oh, good
and
night.
it's going to keep on going. So we have inflation. So we really need to save and invest and be prepared.
Well, we run out of time, and you think about the NBA strike, these guys would really like to listen to you because they got to prepare themselves. For Jesse Brown, I'm Earl Chirsty. See you next week. Take care.
Thank you, Earl.